All right, everybody. This is section 2.4, paired data and scatter plots. A scatter plot is a graph of ordered pairs. If anybody's taken algebra in high school or anything like that, ordered pairs have an x coordinate and a y coordinate, the x part and the y part. And we could have ordered pairs like this where we have 1, 1, 2, 6, 9. These are just ordered pairs, spots on a graph that we put a dot. And our graphs normally look like this. Our x-axis, this is x0, x1, is just a number line. Over on this side, you have -1, -2. Going up, you have 1, 2. This is the y-axis. 3 and so on. Going down on the y-axis are the negatives. So 1, 2, the plot 1, 2, x1, 2 would be a dot right here. Do you see? You start at the 0. x1 and y2 is a dot right here. 6, 9 would be way over here. If this was 6 and up here would be 9, this would be 6, 9, and this would be 1, 2. And if you have these dots, you can actually connect them and create these lines. So we're going to, we're maybe not necessarily connected dots, but we're going to put dots on our graph and see where they're going to. Are they going up, or are they going down, or are they going nowhere? So that's what we're going to do. To draw a scatter plot, you need the coordinates, x's and y's. So if we look here, it even tells us, they tell us the scenario, but here's our x's and here's our y's. So all my x's I'm going to put in list 1, and all my y's I'm going to put in list 2. So just to show you that, let me go to my calculator. My calculator should be bigger now for you guys, right?
Yes, sir. I can see it.
Okay, so we need to enter the data into the list. If we remember how to get to the list, I can't see my calculator. Let me look here. I don't know what's wrong with my glasses today. Maybe I grabbed the wrong glasses. So to get to the list, we're going to hit the stat button, S-T-A-T, stat button number 1, stat 1. And there's our list. Now, there was a confusion for a couple people, and we actually talked about this in one of our math meetings, all the teachers, that the app doesn't clear the list too well. I think I sent out an email or something. I can't remember. I think you have to hit second clear or something. For me, I take it up there and I hit clear, and it don't hit delete, but if I hit clear, it does it. For you guys, I think you might have to hit second clear. I can't remember how to clear your list. If you want to also, if you had data typed in here, this is a long way, you can go to each piece of data, stat number 1, and you can just hit delete also, clear or delete. You can just delete the data itself. Just keep, I mean, if I had, just to show you, if I had data in here, I could go to the top and just hit delete. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go to the very top. I just wanted to go there. See, now I'm back. I had to take my calculator to factory settings. Second memory, and I have a video for that in case you guys didn't write down how you're supposed to do that, because this happens quite a bit. And I'm back. So if I had, I could just go up here and hit delete, 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 and you see it deletes everything in that list. So that's another way of doing it. All right, so we're going to enter all that data into list 1 in the X values, and the Y values in the L2. So I can see the data. I'm going to go back to my scatter plot, go back to the web page, and you see it says 376 for the first one. I'm going to go hit enter. You type it in and then hit enter. And then I'm going to go to the next one, 650, enter, 884, 1162, 1650, 2236, 3002, 4028, and 4010. So I typed in all the data from X. From the first list, I typed the data in, and if you look, I'm on data number 10. So that means there should be 9 pieces of data I typed in. There's L1, L2, L3, the numbers. And when I go down to the empty spot, it says 10. So that means there must be 9 pieces of data in there. So now I'm going to put the Y's in the next column. So I'm just going to arrow over. I arrowed over and I'm in L2. And I'm going to start typing in the Y data there. 5, 20, 20, 28, 26, 34, 35, 36. Oh, that's 56. Should go right there, right? 302 is 56. 428 is 68, and then 55. All right, let's see, 1650. I'm all messed up. Let's see, let me go back to the top. 5, 20, 20, 28, 26, 34, 35, oh, 34, 35, 56, 410, 55. And there should be 9 pieces of data. I thought maybe if I turned the light on, it would help, but it doesn't. I thought I could get it focused better there. Let me see. I could zoom in on it a little bit more, but then you won't be able to see the keystrokes that I make.
We can see it, sir.
Okay, that's good. So I have all the data in here. Did I mess something up, Tanya? Let's go back. I don't see a 10 in here.
Sir, for the X values, isn't there 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How did I mess that up? That's where you're saying a 10. Let's check it out. Why don't I have 10? So, and that's why I messed up my L2 also. Yeah, you guys need to speak up quicker. I know somebody typed it in there. Okay, let's try this. 376. Oh, well, I got that one wrong. 376, 650, 884, 1162. There we go. I'm missing one. 1513, 1650, 2236. See, that makes sense. You guys got to stop me. I'm trying to do this while looking at it on the side, and it's not working. Okay, so now I got to go back to L2 and fix it. Next time, do it in all capitals so you can scream at me. 5, 20, 28, 26, 34, 35, 56, 68, and 55. Okay, so thank you. Now I'm going to scroll down here for a second, see what it says. Right here, that's it. Draw the x-axis on a piece of paper and draw the y-axis. We're not going to do it. We're going to put this on our calculator. So this is really kind of important here. Look at the x values. So look at the x values. What's the highest x value?
4028.
Yes, 4,028. So we have to set, if I hit graph right now, let me show you. If I hit graph right now, I don't see nothing. My dots are not there. Oh, there's something else I have to do, by the way. Okay, so let me write this down. I'm going to actually write this down here on graphing. Scatter plot. So step 1, to graph. So first, one thing you have to hit the stat button, number 1, edit, and enter data into L1 and L2. Okay, and we're always going to put the x values in L1 and the y values in L2. The x values go horizontal and the y values go vertical, up and down. So steps for graphing, that's the first step. Step 2, we have to turn on our stat plot. Step 2 is turning on our stat plot. Turning on our plot. And if we look right, I'm gonna stop sharing here, going back over to my calculator. If we look at our calculators, right above the y equals, it says stat plot. So I'm going to hit second y equals, and that's my stat plot. Do you see how it says plot number 1 is off? So I'm going to hit enter. And I can arrow the buttons now. I want to arrow it over to on and hit enter. So the stat plot is on. Now, I want to put little dots on my paper. So, and there are 6 different types of graphs I can do. The graph we want to do is, I think, the first one. I think we're okay with just, yeah. I don't think the first or the second one doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. So we can pick this one. We'll see what the difference is. Pick this one or this one. So it's there. I have the stat plot on. I have that. Our list, it should say L1 or L2. Let's just say by some freak accident, I don't have L2. I need to put L1 as my x-axis and L2 is my y-axis. To get L2 in there, L2 is right above the number 2. If you look at the number 2, right above it, it says L2. So I'm going to, in that spot, I'm going to hit second number 2, and it types L2 in there. So L1 and L2 are in there. And you can use big dots or little dots. I'm going to use the big dots just like we have. So I have this on. I'm using the first dotted one, L1, L2, big dot. Now when I hit graph, I still don't see anything. So let's write that stuff down first. I'm going to go back to here and put that down. Turn on stat plot. We have to go second the y equals button where it says y equals, where it says stat plot right above it. And then on number 1, let me see what it says. Second, y equals number 1. It says plot on or off. We want to turn on. And then we want to, I hit enter. Oh, second equals stat plot. Then number 1, hit enter. And then 1 plot on or off. Make sure it's plotted on. Hit enter. And you go to the type. We're going to try both of these. I'm going to do the first one. The first one. Let's do the first one first. And then don't forget X list should be L1. Y list should be L2. That's a comma. Comma is supposed to be a comma. And then the mark should be the big. Let's use the big ones. Okay. So, and now when I hit graph, once again, I don't see anything. Okay, there's a reason for that. If I go to Windows, right here it says Windows. Really hard to see, but it does say Windows. There. I zoomed in on it. Where does it say Windows? Oh, you still can't. There it goes. It says Windows right there. Window. Let's go to Window. And my x-axis is set at -10, 10. And my y-axis, y minimum, is -10, 10. So x scale should be 1, y scale should be 1, resolution should be 1. But this is my x-axis, how far the boundary is. And if you look, let me come back here. My x-axis is set up for a maximum of 10 and -10. Y-axis is 10 and -10. But remember our data. Our data is way more than that. Our data is a lot. Our data was 4,000. You know, look at the stuff we have in here. Our data is up to 4,000, and on the x-axis, and the y-axis, the highest data was 68. So of course it's not going to fit in 10, 10, 10, 10. So that's why I ask, what is our largest x-axis? Our largest piece of data, 4,010. So when we go to window, we have to pick a maximum. The highest piece of data has to be more than 4,010. I'm going to put 4,500. So you have to make it more than 4,010. I'm making it 4,500. Now, we don't have any negative numbers here, so I'm just going to put 0 for my smallest. So my x-axis is going to go from 0 to 4,500. Does anybody know what the highest y value in L2? What was the highest y value in L2? Does anybody have that? Anybody have their workbook with them? Or do I have to go back to my workbook? Oh, I can go back to my data. Stat number 1.
Sir, was it 68?
Yeah, I think it was 68. So the highest data is 68. When I go to my window now, my highest maximum has to be more than 68. I'm just going to put 100. And you don't have negative numbers in this data, so I'm just going to put 0. Do you see? So my x-axis is going to go from 0 to 4,500. my y-axis from 0 to 100. Now when I hit graph, don't forget I have statplot on. Now when I go to graph, I have the data all marked. All the data is marked from 0 to 4,500. And here I have from 0 to 100. Do you see? I want to make sure all the data is in here. So if you're not seeing your data, check your window. And if you're still not seeing your data, second stat plot, check to make sure stat plot is on. And I'll give you guys a second if we're working on that. And I'm going to actually write it down now, and then I'll come back. So we turned our stat plot on. Our last step would be step 3.
So what did you have for y?
I had 0 to 100.
Okay.
So our y-axis. So this is what I actually did. I did from 0 to 4,500. And here I did from 0 to 100. The y was 0 to 100. The x was 0 to 4,500. So our data shows up here. So on window, we had to put an x min and an x max. And don't forget, you also have to do a y min and y max. And it has to, these numbers have to, our data has to fit our data. Our data has to be able to fit in here. These numbers have to be where our data can fit inside of them. So you always pick more than the highest number. So once again, the whole process that we did was we went to stat, number 1, edit. We entered in the data, X data, Y data. Then we went to second stat plot and hit enter and turn the plot on. I use this one and L1, L2 is here and the big mark. By the way, you can go to the small mark if you want. And I like the big mark. You can see the difference when you do that. And then once we did that, we had to go to window and make sure our minimum and maximum fit the data and our minimum and maximum for the Y fit the data. And then when you hit graph, you should get your graph. And it should kind of match the workbook. Hopefully, I'm going to go check the workbook now. Let's see what we have. If you look at, here's the data on the workbook. Oh. I'm telling you, when I try to move it, it just zips through this stuff. And there's our data on the workbook. Now, they went from 0 to 5,000, which is fine. We went 4,500, a little bit more. If you match yours, put your calculator and look at the graph. Do the dots match up? Do they look like they're in the right spot? If they don't, if you have one data that's in the wrong spot, let me just show you. Let's see if I had one data that's in the wrong spot. One piece of data that's in the wrong spot. Wait, that wasn't right. Let's see. Wait, I think I do have it in the wrong spot. if you look at my data, I think it looks, wait, there.
What's it supposed to look like? The one on the
Yes, it has to look like this one, the one in the workbook.
I
Yeah,
think it just like it zoomed in a bit, maybe.
yeah. Well, this one is off because I changed one of the data points. If it's off, then go back to your data and verify. See, I just fixed that one, and now it looks like it. If a number was way off or something, just verify. Now it's working. Like I said, if one of these pieces of data was in the wrong spot, and here's one that's a little bit more realistic. That if it's in the wrong spot, let's say this one is here in graph. Do you see this piece of data is in the wrong spot? You you can tell. So you want to go back to your table and check it. This piece of data was in the wrong spot. So when I go back to my table, stat1 edit, one of these pieces of data, I think it was, it was this one, 80. It should have been 20. I go back in, it should have been 20. Now when I graph it, it's back to what the workbook looks like. So yeah, so I mean, on a test, you don't know what. By the way, on the test, you're going to have to do this on your calculator, and then there are going to be four questions, and you have to pick the correct one for the actual major test or the final exam. Final exams, all multiple choice. The tests we take are all multiple choice. The only thing that's like the homework is those major quizzes. So you're going to have to take major quiz 2 this week. And I'll give you more about what that's going to be like on.
But like we'll have like 4 different options of like graphs.
On the tests and final, not on the quiz, not on the major quiz. The quiz is going to be set up like the homework. But like the final exam, this question is on the final, by the way. Something's really similar. And they say pick the correct graph. If you have it correct on here, you'll be able to pick the correct graph. For the major quiz, it's different. It's set up like the homework. All right. Back to the workbook. All right. Analyzing the scatter plot. Okay, so let's analyze this scatter plot. Let's look at it and analyze it. What we want to do is look at the scatter plot and saying, hey, where's the data? What's happening with the data? And if you look at it from left to right, it looks like the data is going up. And we call that, when the data is going up, we call it a positive correlation. I don't know if it's 2 R's or 1, correlation. Positive correlation. If your data was going down, then it's a negative correlation. If the data is going down, then it's a negative correlation. So that's a positive correlation. Once again, positive linear correlation exists when the data is going up, ascending. Where X and Y, where the data is increasing, the data over amount of time. Negative correlation is where the X values are increasing, but the Y values are decreasing. In other words, when you draw a line from left to right, your data is going down. Over a period of time, the data seems to be going down. And then if it's nonlinear just means, who knows? I mean, I can't draw a straight line on my data. It's all over the place. So it's not necessarily linear. Maybe it's curved or something like that. But nonlinear means the points fall, they don't fall in a straight line, maybe a curve or something like that. Or maybe no relationship at all, which is the next one. No relationship exists when you can't see a pattern. And here's some examples. Once again, this is a positive relationship because the data from left to right is going up. From left to right, the data is trending down. So it's a negative correlation. You can call this a correlation because it definitely looks like it's curving, right? So it's not linear. Linear means straight line. By the way, linear means straight line. This is a curve, so it's not linear. It's not a straight line. It's a curve. And here, there's just no relationship. I can't draw a line to match this data. I don't know where it's going. So I can't draw a line. So we don't know the trend, what's happening there. And once again, very typical question on the major quiz, you know, they'll take one and say, what kind of correlation is this? It's a positive linear correlation. Negative linear correlation. This is not linear. It's not straight line. And this one that has no relationship. The data is just all over the place. So here now, once again, let's construct a scatter plot. What we just did, they give us the steps again. Enter the X values into L1 and the Y values into L2. Press window to make our settings fit our data. Hit the second stat plot, enter plot 1, and move the cursor over to there. I'm going to go to this one next and just see what it like. Hit enter and now press graph. Once your window's set up and your stat plot is on, then you should be able to graph it. All right, so if you guys are there and if you have your calculator, let's practice this one. Type this into your data. So even though it doesn't tell you, if it's like this, the top one, the first one's always the x-axis and the bottom one's the y-axis. L1 always goes in the x-axis and L2 always goes in the y-axis. See if you can get this data on your calculator. I'll give you a second. See if you can get that data in there. Go through the whole process. First start with stat number 1, edit, and type those into the list, which means you have to clear out your old list. Then set your window. And then, well, stat plot's on already, so you don't have to turn that on. Set your window and then hit graph, and you should see the same thing the graph has here. See if you can set it up. I'll give you a second, a minute or two. I might as well put it into mine myself, right? And I know there's some of you that are sleeping and not doing this. I'm telling you.
Sir, after we clear the list, do we go to statplot 1?
Well, after you clear the list, then just go to stat number 1, edit. Yeah, and then type in the data. Yeah. Then once you have blank L1s, L2s, then type in this data. 6, 2, 15, 9, 12, 5, and 8. So there should be 7 pieces of data, yes. And then in L2 is the bottom list. So that's the data I have in here. Once again, there's at the top, that's number 1 and number 2. Okay, there's the data I typed in. Hopefully I typed it in correctly. Statplot's on. If I go here, statplot is still on. It doesn't turn off unless you mess something up. So I'm going to go to window. What was the highest X value?
15.
15. So I'm going to put 20. I mean, what was the highest Y value?
90.
90. So I'm going to put a little bit more, maybe even 100. You can put 100. Do you see? So I got from 0 to 20 and 0 to 100. Since I don't have any negative numbers, the minimum is 0, maximum is 20. Now when I hit graph, I should have the same picture that I see. So once again, stat number 1 edit, I typed in the data into L1, L2. Stat plot was on already. We go to Windows. Don't forget window right here. And we're going to set it to the highest X value that's in L1. We got to set it more than that. And the highest Y value, we got to put it more than what we had for the highest Y value. And by the way, if you have 110, it's no big deal, just as long as it's more. Then when you hit graph, you should have a graph that looks pretty similar to the one in the workbook. And when I compare mine in the workbook, it's perfect.
Sir, when I try to enter the new data, it brings up the old list.
What do you mean? Well, you have to clear that list first.
I did, and it comes back to it.
Okay. So, okay. So that might be a problem with the app. Let's see. Let's take a look. So when you have this list, try to hit. Can you arrow up to here, right here? Can you arrow up to L1?
Yes.
Okay. Hit second clear. Does that clear the list? Second clear.
No,
Okay.
it's still there.
Okay, then go down here and just go down to the number and hit delete, delete, delete. And just delete them all. And then go to the next one and hit delete.
Oh, perfect. It worked.
Okay. And then type in the data. And then type in, now you got it. Now you forced me to type in the data all over again. That's okay. No, I want to make sure we have this. For those of you that are not trying this, shame on you, because you're going to come calling me while you're taking a test. I can't enter the data. There's nothing I could do then.
Okay, but now I deleted the whole entire list.
Okay, then you have to go back to fact. Well, it's you weren't supposed to delete the top. You weren't supposed to go to the top.
Oh,
right? You were not supposed to hit delete up there. We talked about that last time. So you have to do this. You have to do this. Second memory, second plus sign.
Press clear all list, right?
Yeah. Reset all the way down to number 7. I have that video that shows you how to do this in the week 4. And then I go to all RAM and then reset. Oh, and then when I go back, is there somebody said clear all lists. Was there another way of doing that? I'm sorry.
So for the one that like I can't do it the way you when I press second memory, it gives you like options and then it says clear our list and then the clear our RAM.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, hit second memory then and hit clear all lists. Oh, there we go. Yeah, clear all lists. So you can go, yeah, that's a good idea. Go down to number 4, hit enter, clear all lists, and then they're all cleared. Thank you. See, I just reset it to factory settings. But if you go to second memory, instead of resetting it to factory settings, you can just clear all entries or clear all lists right here. Hit enter and then enter again. Once it says done, then I go back to lists. They're all gone. Thank you. And once you type that in and you have your windows set up correctly, you should get a picture that looks something similar to this. Everybody okay with this so far?
Yes, sir. I figured it out.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Good, good, good. And like I said, test time is a bad time to practice. Please don't practice this during a test time. Okay, so we are going to do one more practice. Let's take a look. We're going to do this one, number 3. So type in this data and let's do a graph and see if it comes up with the same thing I have. So type in this data for problem number 3, 10, 12. See if you end up with the same picture I do. I'm not going to tell you what to put in for your window. You can put whatever you want, just as long as your picture looks similar to mine. By the way, if you reset it to factory settings like I did, you turned your stat plot back off, so you're going to have to turn that back on. I was wondering why I wasn't getting a graph. Now, can somebody tell me by looking at this table in the workbook, how many dots I should have on my graph? By just looking at this table, can you tell me how many dots I should have on my graph? Anybody want to type it in? Well, remember, a dot is a coordinate, an X and a Y. So that's one dot, one dot, one dot. Yeah, so there should be 6 dots. Each dot is a coordinate. So you should have 6 dots on your graph. Just wanted to make sure everybody understands. Each dot is an X coordinate and a Y coordinate. Do you see this first dot goes to 10 and up to 70? So we have a dot at 1070. So, and 1070 on my graph, when I look at my calculator, I have my windows set up. I have my windows set up for 0, 15 and 0, 100. 0, 15 and 0, 100. So when I hit graph 1070, if this is 1070, I'm going to assume that might be it. 1070 is right here. Oh, there's something else I wanted to show you. Ooh, this brings up a really good point. Where is it? this brings up a really good point. You're supposed to have 6 dots on your graph. How come I only have 5? Ooh, I'm supposed to have 6 dots. I just said supposed to have 6 dots. Why do I only have 5?
You're probably missing a number.
No, I'm not. I thought what I'm missing is
One of the coordinates is a 0.
yes. Do you see the x value is a 0? So if you look, 0, what is it? 0 something? You can't, it's on this line, but you can't see it. X0 is on this line. So I'm going to try to change I'm going to put -10. So I get on the other side of 0. Do you see now? I see that dot. It's kind of hard. This line is thick, but I do see the dot now because I'm on the, that dot is at 0, whatever that line was. What was that? 0.94. My graph goes up to 100. Or 0 up to 100. That dot is at 0.94. 0.94 right there. So now I have 6 dots. I just changed it from 0 because I couldn't see it to -10. I mean, you could have put -5 just as long as you had, or even -2, -1 on there. Do you see? Just so you could see it. Now that 0.94 is right there. So now I do have 6 dots. It's just that the line is thicker than the dot. And I wanted to go to statplot and see what the difference was if I typed in this one. Let's just take a look. And now I hit enter. And now when I hit graph, oh, it connects the dots. So we don't want to do that one. We don't want to do that one. So we definitely want to just do the first one. This one right here. There we go. And we do have that 6 dot and it's right there, 0.94. It's just hard to see because we started at 0 and it's on this thick line. We couldn't see it. And once again, here's a calculator that shows what the pictures look like for all 3 problems. I would take a look at it. Do you see on this third one we did, there is a dot right there. It's just hard to see. And we're going to talk about the correlation coefficient in 10.1 tomorrow. All right, that's it. Let me hit stop record.